Well, anyway, here we are once again on a program. I'm glad you are out there watching, and we're going to be starting off with, of course, my guest. We're going to be talking about the Charter Commission. As you know, the city charter has been around for a long time, and some of the problems with the charter is that it's by state law, it's just not up to date. Those things have to be cleared up, or should be cleared up, and a group of people gathered a lot of signatures, 15% of the registered voters in the city of Fall River. That task was completed some time ago, which means that now the process is to get people to run for the Charter Commission. So if that process is completed and there is a commission, then the people on the commission will be taking up the charter as to whether it should be revised. So I have the key man here, Michael Miozza, City Council of Fall River, Massachusetts. Welcome to the program.
Richard, thank you for having me on once again.
Once again. And this is not the game show, so
no,
you're going to be a little...
These, I know the answers to these questions, I think.
Good, good.
Or I should
Well,
know.
anyway, so gathering the signatures, how long did that take?
Oh, wow. That was a 3.5-year process, Richard.
3.5 years.
Yeah, we started back, actually, I remember the date, December 19th of 2011. A group of us sat around my kitchen table. We talked about a strategy on how we would go about collecting signatures to get this question on the ballot. And so I found a lot of, these people agreed with me that we needed to have a review of our charter. Our charter hadn't been reviewed since it was formed in 1934. That was 80 years ago.
1934.
Yeah, it was time for a review. We thought it was going to be easy, to be quite frank with you. We thought, I had a motto at that time, 100 people to get me 100 signatures.
That's right. You came on the program back then and told us about that.
Yeah, and I thought it was going to be that easy. Unfortunately, it wasn't. We struggled to get signatures. I mean, we were doing everything. We thought, we were standing out. We were spending a lot of time. I mean, I don't know how many hours
Did you get 100 people?
No, we never got 100 people.
That was probably part of the problem?
Right. We never got the people to volunteer. We got a small
100
group.
signatures, not that many signatures.
No, it's not, but we just couldn't get the volunteers to do it, and for a variety of reasons. And so we continue to work on it. This question was intended to go on the 2013 ballot, was the intent. So we knew we weren't going to get that. So we changed our strategy, and we actually formalized our group by becoming a ballot question committee. We did that in 2013. And what that allowed us to do, Richard, that allowed us to raise money, allowed us to fundraise. And we raised a lot of money through elected officials, gave us a lot of donations. We got a lot of donations from businesses. We held a number of fundraisers. And with the intent, so our idea, our strategy there was that, listen, we cannot, there was only 7 of us that were doing this. It was just a very small group.
Small group,
yes,
yeah.
And we were getting burnt out standing out in front of Stop and Shop, Walmart, every weekend at night. So we were just getting burnt out. So we said, there's got to be a better way. So we found that there's these professional signature gathering organizations, but we needed a lot of money to do that. We garnered, or we through fundraisers and donations, we got up enough money for a group to get us 3,000 signatures. That's just 3,000 raw signatures.
Yeah.
And so we hired that group, and we continued over the 3.5-year period to stand outside of Tedeschi's and Walmart and Stop and Shop and Shores all over the city.
Arduous task.
We went to neighborhood meetings. We went to wherever we knew people would be, soccer fields, to collect. We collected over 12,000 signatures, Richard.
Wow.
12,000 signatures.
And how many did you actually need?
We needed 7,495 certified. We ended up with 8,047, I believe, was the final
certified?
Number. Certified signatures.
So, in other words, there were about 2,000 that weren't any good.
Oh, they were, yeah. We ended up with about a 70% acceptance rate. So
Wow.
for every 10 signatures, we got 3 were being tossed out.
It's amazing people sign a petition, yet they're not a registered voter.
Yeah, I mean, some people, I think, thought that maybe they didn't think it was just forever, because, you know, when you go to a Walmart, you're getting people from Tiverton and Somerset and Swansea, so maybe they didn't understand, even though you asked them if they were forever registered voter. Some people moved, maybe the change of address, maybe it was just the way they signed it. So whatever the reasons, there was a variety of reasons, but, you know, we were successful at the end.
You did get the signatures.
Yep, we were successful.
So now the process is to the point where people actually are going to run
Yes.
to be on a charter commission. So
Right.
there are people out there who've taken out papers from
Nomination papers, yeah.
nomination, yeah, from the city
And you're one
clerk's
of those
office.
individuals?
Yeah, I happen to be one. And so, in other words, we have to get 100 signatures.
Yes.
And good signatures.
Yes.
Get those turned in by, I believe it's September
15th.
15th.
15, yeah.
Now, let me ask you, come November, the question will be on a ballot in November, is that the correct?
That's correct.
Now, what is the question basically? What is the
It's a
process? So someone goes in November, of course, people will go this year because it's election year, they'll be voting in September, but
Right.
the Charter Commission questions will not be on a ballot until November.
Right.
And what's going to be on a ballot so people will be aware of?
Yeah, they will not be on the preliminary ballot. It'll end up being on the final ballot for Tuesday, November 3rd. And it'll be a one-sentence question. Do the people of Fall River want to frame a new charter? It'll be a yes or no question. We believe that people will respond favorably to that. We don't see any reason why people will not want to see a review of our charter. We are campaigning right now. We've got bumper
Okay, so that's
stickers.
going to be just that one single question.
Yep, and then on that same ballot will be the candidates that have successfully received their nomination papers, got their 100 signatures certified. Their names will appear alphabetically on that ballot, and the top
Alphabetically.
9, the top urban, so you'll be, it might be good. It depends on, right now, I mean, we only have, I believe, 11 candidates, which is a little disappointing, I would say, at this point in time.
How many will be
However,
on a commission?
9. The top 9 will get elected. But now, today being what, August 5th? You know, we still have plenty of time between now and
You never
September
know.
15th.
I mean, you get you get the requisite number, but sometimes people a person might resign.
Right.
A person might move away and say, I can't be on a commission any longer. So
Yeah.
those others would move into position.
Right, just like a city
City
council,
council.
I believe, or a school committee, the next top vote getter would move on. I mean, right now, we have 11 candidates. I don't think anybody has turned in their signatures and haven't certified yet. So as we speak on August 5th, we don't have any candidate. I mean, we have candidates, but we don't have anybody that has formalized them yet by getting their 100 signatures certified by the Board of Elections. I got to believe that there's going to be more people. I hope there's more people. There's some good quality people now that have taken out. I hope that, you know, we see 15, 20. I think more is always better.
So come November, people in the city will, of course, go to vote for the final part of the regular election in the city. And they'll have that question, do you want the charter to be changed or not? So if they vote no, that's the end. Is that correct?
I believe, and I don't know this, and I should know this, I need to check this, I still believe that even if you vote no, you can still select the 9 members that you still would want to represent you.
But
Because
if you vote, if the,
I think it comes down, Richard, is it still could pass, and you should still have a say. I need to check on that, but
well,
I think that's...
if 10,000 people vote,
Yeah.
and 8,000 say no, and 2,000 say yes.
Oh, that means, oh, yes.
That's the end.
Oh, that's the end, I'm sorry. I thought
Yeah.
you meant whether or not they could vote for the candidates.
No,
No, you're right. No, it's a majority. So if we don't get a simple majority, then no, it goes down. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, and so then, let's say it goes forward, majority votes yes, they want the charter to be changed, they vote for the candidates, the ballots are tallied, candidates are notified. What do the then ballot commissioners or the charter commissioners do.
Right. Let me just say one thing you have said here. I just want to make sure that people understand. It's really not. We're not voting for a charter change. We're voting for a charter review.
Okay.
So nothing may change at the end of the day. That's what the elected commission is going to determine based on public input. So to answer your question, within 45 days of that election, the commission has to hold its first public hearing. And at this point in time, obviously, they'll elect a chairperson, a vice chair, a secretary to keep records. So they'll formalize their.
They don't need a treasurer.
You very well may, because this group can take in money. One of the things I've learned recently is that they can take money from the community, from business people, so they can accept money. And I would assume that money is to help for subsidizing surveys and postage. So there may be, the treasurer may be part of what they need.
Okay, if you know, are these donations based on the limitations, factors when you donate for a city councilor or a school committee?
I don't believe they are right now.
So a businessman may say, I love this city, I've been very successful, and here's $5,000.
Yeah, no, it's open-ended. I know that. Our charter group could take donations. It was wide open. If somebody wanted to come and say, here's $100,000 for your efforts, for educational purpose, bumper stickers, yard signs, we could accept that donation.
All right, and the charter members do not receive any money.
No
It's not a paid-
compensation. They do this totally voluntarily. So there's no compensation. I know that comes up a lot. How's the city going to afford this? Well, they do that.
There's no cost to the city.
There's a limit. There is a little bit of a cost.
Little cost.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a cost. Based on our population, the city has to put away, I think it's $7,500 each year. This is an 18-month process. And that money is used primarily for two things. One, right now there's nobody really in the city that has expertise on framing a charter. So you're going to have to hire, more than likely, we're going to have to hire a consultant to do that, number one, to give guidance to the commission. Secondly, there's public notification through newspaper, maybe even radio, that has to occur. So once the commission does their work and they believe that these are the changes that may be moving forward on the ballot, and you've got to remember that whatever changes the commission recommends after they take all this public input, it goes on the 2017 ballot. People vote whether or not they will accept the change. Now, that being said, the other thing that people need to understand is that it's all or nothing. If the commission comes up with 10 changes, you're voting for all 10. It's not a line item.
All right.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I know some people are concerned about is that we're going to do a 180 on our form of government and this is going to change. No, that's
actually this
not, I don't see that happening. I don't envision that happening.
So this whole process could go right to the very end, and then at the end, in 2017, people go and vote, and they vote everything down.
Yes.
In other words,
yes.
You want, there's 5 changes.
Yes.
You either vote for the 5, or you say yes for 5, or you say no for 5.
That's it.
And if they say no for 5, and it's majority again.
It's majority, yes.
Then that's the end of this whole process.
That's the end. So we could go
now,
18 months and get a no at the end of the day.
And here's the big question. Now, you and a number of other people worked very, very, very hard to get all these signatures. And if this is voted no, then to the question, or one of the questions might be, a recommendation that might be to review the charter every 5 years.
Right.
That would be out too.
Right, yes.
Which means
I
that
believe so, yeah.
Which means that if this whole process would have to be going through completely over again,
yes.
Which would be very, very disappointing.
This is why we've got to eat the elephant in small bites. We can't go make all this menu of changes. I think the two things at a minimum that should come out, of this first review is that we know, based on the last community that went through a charter review, which was Newburyport, Mass., they had 19 instances where they were in conflict. Their charter was in conflict with Mass state law. So they had 19. They're a much smaller community than we are. And they went about 80 years, I think, between the time they created their charter and had a review. So we got to imagine, I got to imagine, Richard, that we have as many, if not more.
And that's a simple change.
That is simple.
That's just bringing it up.
Bring
to
it up
date.
to Matt, right. Yeah. So that's one thing that certainly needs to be accomplished. But to your point, to me, the one that needs to definitely be accomplished is that I never want to see anybody have to stand out on streets for years to collect 12,000 signatures. We need to fix that, because right now there's no mechanism, there's no language in our current charter for a regular review, and that definitely needs to be fixed, in my view, in my humble view.
So that would be one question that definitely would be there.
I would hope so.
Well, I mean,
I'm not going to be on the Charter Commission, or at least as we speak right now.
Well,
I don't.
If I'm on a charter commission,
I'll be there. I will be there in your ear, advocating for that.
You don't need to, because I mean, I can see.
I think you get it.
The logical
Yes.
sense of that. It would be very foolish to go through all this and have nothing come out of it.
Right.
And it would be best to go through all of this and at least have two things come out of it.
Exactly.
Let's bring it up to state law, and let's have a review every 5 years.
Yes.
If nothing else.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
All right,
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
You know where my position is.
Good. So I feel better already. And if we can get a like-minded commission that doesn't want to go in and change everything overnight, we can get change. It's not going to happen. It's going to take, maybe 10, 15, 20 years. But let's not try to fix 80 years all in 1 year or 2 years.
And Emily, let me ask you this question. People are sitting out there and they're listening to what is being said. Do you think anyone would be against this at all and say, I don't want any change? When I go to vote, I'm going to vote no. Do you foresee that type of logic, that type of analysis coming out of voters?
I think a very small minority, I believe. There'll be people that will oppose it. Maybe if maybe they don't really understand it. So if they don't really educate, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to educate the public on the process so they're not afraid to support this. There may be some reasons that they like the status quo. They like the way things are, and they don't want to see change, and that's understandable. But I got to imagine, given if you're a logical, reasonable person, that the document that governs you, when you have an opportunity to review it on a regular
Fall River forward.
Yes,
right?
it's really going to be
part of moving Fall River forward.
Look at what happened under the recall. That, to me, was a symptom. And if we had a stronger charter, maybe some of the decisions that prior mayors had made wouldn't be allowed to be made. And again, what I'm looking for, Richard, I'm looking for a balance between the city council, in terms of balance of power, between the council and the mayor's office.
Are you running for the Charter Commission?
Not as we speak right now,
Okay.
but I am thinking about it. I have to say,
You're vacillating?
I am vacillating, and I hate to vacillate, but I have to also say that, I started something, and I think I owe it to the people of Fall River to finish what I started. And so,
Could you be brought on as an advisor?
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. And I'll be. I mean, it is my baby. It's something, and I, so when I got into this, my initial intent was not to run for the Charter Commission. My job was to get on the ballot, and I've accomplished that. But as I sit back, and it's in my blood, Richard, so I still haven't made a decision. Well, but I do, part of me now says, I need to see this through. I started this, and I need to see it through the end, so.
Okay, let me ask you now, let's say the people vote for it, the commission convenes. Is there a requisite number of public meetings that the commission would need to hold?
Yeah, that's something I'm researching now. I am actually in conversation with the former chair of the Newburyport Commission. I'm trying to get him on the phone to discuss what is the expectations of the commission. How many times do they meet in Newburyport? What was the commitment in terms of hours? I really want to get a good understanding. And to that end, Richard, we are holding, the Fall River Charter Review Group is holding a informational question and answer.
And that's September 9th.
That's on Wednesday, September 9th. And I encourage the public, please, please.
What time does that start?
It starts at 6 o'clock. We've got it tentatively scheduled from 6 to 8. It's going to be at the atrium in the Government Center. I've invited some experts in charter revision, Steve McGoldrick and Madeline Contreras from UMass Boston. They're coming down from Boston to sit on this panel. I've also invited Stephen Cole, who is the chair of the Newburyport Charter Commission. I have local attorney Nick Bernier, who was involved in the Swansea Charter Review, and we have Chris Bartley, who's the president of the Florida Charter Commission. And I've also extended an invitation to the Attorney General's office, because part of this process through the 18 months is whatever changes are going to be recommended for the 2017 ballot have to be approved by the Attorney General's office. So I asked for a representative from the Attorney General's office to be there.
So they have to approve?
They have to approve it before it can move on to the ballot. So I've asked for a representative to be here.
When is the, you might say, the final report due?
You have 16 months to do your initial work. So 2 months after the 45 days, excuse me. 45 days after the commission is elected, they have to hold their first public meeting.
Public meeting?
Public meeting. They have 16 months to craft whatever document, the changes that need to be changed. It goes up to the Attorney General's office.
Okay,
and there's a defined timeline.
All right, so at the end of that, we'll say
she's got
16-month period, that's the final report, somewhat.
Well, it's a draft report that goes to the Attorney General.
Draft report.
It's a draft report that goes to the attorney. They will say, okay, we're good with it, or you need to make these changes. The commission will have about a month to incorporate those changes, get back to the public as to whatever those changes are, and then it gets sent to the City Council for approval, and it'll go on the 2017 ballot for a vote.
City Council sits there, and they can be tough. And they could actually say no?
I don't think they can. They may be able to say no initially, but I think at some point it goes on the ballot whether or not. It's just a formality, I believe. It was just like
courtesy, courtesy.
Yeah, it was just like the 12,000 signatures. They have to vote for it to go on the ballot. My understanding is if they took no action, it would automatically go on the next year or whatever.
So more of a courtesy than a...
It's more of a courtesy. It's a procedural thing. And I can't imagine that any council would hinder.
You've been on the council long
I
enough.
have been.
Very strange things can
I agree with you,
happen.
and I've sat there and I've seen them front and center, but I can't imagine. I know I'll be one advocating for them to move forward. I really can't imagine that happening. But, you know, getting back to September 9th, I am really encouraging people, please come out, ask your questions, hear what other people are asking, become informed.
In September 17th, that's an election year.
September?
2017, I should say.
Yeah, I believe that's state elections, I believe, yeah.
And city.
And city, yeah.
Because we're in 2015.
Yeah, oh yes, right.
And
yes.
So,
correct.
In other words,
yeah, it'll coincide.
It would pretty much behoove the city council to say,
yeah,
yay.
I can't. I would. I can't imagine that.
Go on the ballot.
Yeah, it's more of a formality, and I mean, maybe one or two would object for whatever reason, but I can't imagine. I mean, really, all you're doing is voting to allow the voters to vote on the very thing that they likely want to see happen, because remember I said this commission will be sending out surveys. They'll be getting the pulse of the community to find out what is it you want to see changed. And I would imagine that those are the things that would move forward. You're not going to put things on the ballot that you know are not going to get approved, because again, it's all or nothing. So you take the data from these surveys and you use that data to make informed decisions on what you should be moving forward. So that would be the will of the community, and any council that would go against it would be going against the will of the community.
Yeah, and that's not progress.
It's not progress, and it's not representative of the people that elected you.
Okay, so it's basically a review, and the commission would have these public hearings, and I imagine they would have some private meetings amongst themselves.
I got to imagine they would be. And I don't know
lay
if
out
there's
the process of where they might want to go next. Maybe hold something over here, different part of the city, different night, different maybe one during the day.
Yeah, I mean, and they're free to do that and determine the frequency. I think there's a minimum amount of public hearings, and off the top of my head, I think it's at least 3, could be more.
Is there a state law that governs this?
Yes, 43B is the state law. I'm pretty sure it's 43B that governs the state law. And by the way, we have a Facebook page that has a ton of information about the charter review process. If you just type in Fall River Charter, you can get to it on Facebook. And we've put out a bunch of articles, informational slides, videos. It's out there, and there'll be a lot more in the upcoming months as we want to educate the public more and more on the process. But what I wanted to caution, people don't need to be afraid about. This is a good thing. This is it's overdue, Richard.
Yeah.
Should have happened years ago.
1934.
I'm not sure why it took so long.
Well,
I think maybe because it took 3.5 years to get the signatures.
People must have said, well, I'm not going to be out there and getting all those
truthfully,
signatures.
I mean, had I known it was going to take that, I don't know if I would have, and think about it. If I would have said, hey, Richard, I need you for the next 3.5 years to help me, you would have been like, okay, Mike, I'm kind of busy. So it would have been tough to get volunteers had we known it was going to take that long.
Well, I remember when you came on one of my programs and you did mention 100 people and 100 signatures.
Yeah.
That seemed to be simple enough.
I thought it was going to be that. But, I got to give this small group of people props. They persevered. They could have easily walked away, Richard, at any time and said, hey, Mike, you're on your own. Just sorry, this was your brainchild. It ain't working the way. And so I got to thank them. I mean, that they believed in me. They believed in the process. They stood with me. And we accomplished something that, to me, is historic for the city.
Well, I think they need special recognition, maybe a little party.
We will be recognizing them formally at the August 18th City Council meeting. If people want to come out, I have citations for each of the 6 members that stood by for the 3.5 years who made this happen. I'm very proud of these people. And they deserve that recognition publicly because I think anybody that takes on civic engagement like that, we need to applaud that. And I certainly want to recognize these 6 individuals who said, we're going to stick with this, we got this, we're going to do whatever it takes, and they did it. They made it happen. They made it happen, Richard.
Yeah. Well, we're getting down to the end of the program, and is there anything else you want to cap this off with?
No, let me just say I hope people are not afraid of this change. I hope they research it, they understand it, and I would encourage, come on Wednesday, September 9th to the Government Center Atrium. We've got 5 experts, maybe 6 experts will be on a panel. Come and get your questions answered, or at least listen to the questions that are asked and the answers that are given by these experts.
Okay, and I got one announcement before we close, and this is for October 25th. There's going to be a ceremony at the General Pulaski Monument. That's in the Pulaski Park, in the Niagara section of the city. And I believe Helen Rigo is the president. She's very supportive of the ceremony each and every year. Public is invited. It's 11:30 on a Sunday morning. So if you have some time, stop by. We usually have a beautiful day, October, nice bright sunshine, and maybe after we can go for a little coffee or something like that. So, well, that's it. Thank you out there for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the program. And remember, the Charter Commission, if you have any questions, you can call City Councilor Michael Miozza or anyone else who is on the committee. So, thank you out there for watching, and see you next time.
Richard, thank you.
Yeah, you're quite welcome. Good job. A lot of good.